Hey everybody, Greg Rice from Nexus Property Management, and you may be interested in this video. I want to put on the record my thoughts and beliefs when it comes to the current interest rates and where they're going to head in the future. Right now, interest rates are high, as you know, and it has kept people stuck, whether they want to buy personal residence or an investment property. Now, somebody like me, I can still maneuver to buy because I have the volume, because I have the ability to grab stuff, make some equity, raise rents here. I can kind of offset a higher cost on the front end because I know in the future rates will come down, I can clean that up, refinance, etc. But most people aren't in that position. So the president has put tremendous pressure on Mr. Powell to lower the interest rate for banks, right? The Fed sets the cost of the money for the banks to be able to take it and lend it to you. So the cost of that money is so high at this point that by the time the banks get it, add their cost and give it to you, you're paying 7-8% for your single family in Smithfield. Doesn't make sense. On top of the value of the property being $600,000. So things are just out of whack. So what does the Fed consider when they want to lower rates? Number one is the inflation. The inflation rate, which right now I think is 2.7%. They want to see that below 2%. That shows that things are stable. It's cool. During the last presidency, inflation was almost 20%. You can't lower your interest rate during a volatile market. It's a very simple thing. So that was an issue then, but now things are cool and things are stable. But it's not lower than that 2% threshold that the Fed likes to see. The next thing that they want to see is the unemployment. They want to see that unemployment rate low and also stable. And right now it's at 4.2%, which has remained unchanged since June. So as we've seen with the current administration, the job market is booming because of how much investment is happening in the United States. And a key component of the United States has always been dominance economically. And what we've seen over the last 3-4 decades is the sellout of our jobs and the shrinking of our labor market to other countries that offer those services, those types of products that we purchase at a lower total cost. So companies have the ability, companies like car manufacturers, Apple with the phones, clothing, all these things that we all need, they'll outsource them to China, right? They'll outsource them to like our chips in Taiwan, India, countries that have low threshold for labor as far as their requirements, what they have to pay people, their safety, their government monitoring, and we'll just pay them to give us what we need, but in turn, we've bypassed our own people. So when the Fed considers, am I going to lower interest rates, they have to look at what is the labor market? How is it? Is there confidence? Is there growth? Right? Is America in a steady and comfortable place? And we are finally making that swing and that shift back. And you've seen Apple, the largest investment that they've ever made, $500 billion, and then they added $100 billion to that. So it's $600 billion that they are going to be investing to produce the iPhone and related products in the United States instead of China. That's tremendous. That's how many? That's 100,000 jobs for United States workers. That's the money staying here. That's the investment happening here. So that's what they want to see, the Fed. And I think the current president is itching to get that rate lowered ASAP, but it takes time, and he's only been in office for 6 months. And a lot of these things that have been announced, right, these investments in America are just announcements, right? There's a data center that Facebook is going to build, I believe in Arizona or New Mexico or something. It's the size of Manhattan, right? And that's great. But until that happens, until those jobs exist, until those foundations are poured, it's really just talk. So I think that's one of the problems now is the current president has been making a lot of deals, but to see the actual boots on the ground is what the Fed is really looking for. So that's just part of the equation. The next thing that they want to look at is the financial markets. Are they stable? And we're not going to go too crazy into that, but yes, they are. Numbers are as high as they've ever been, right? You look at the NASDAQ, you look at Dow Jones. These top performing companies are performing. And that's because global confidence has said to people like, yeah, America's where it's at. America is hot, right? And if you've ever, played craps, right? You get on a hot roll and everybody starts crowding around the table and everybody starts cheering. And that enthusiasm brings others. And it's just an effect of, oh, people are doing good over there, let me go. And then the next person. So that's kind of what America is. It's the hot craps table. Whew. Right? Don't roll a 7. I don't think we're gonna. They'll also look at, things like economic and geopolitical risks with other countries. They want to make sure that in the event of some type of collapse or issue in another country, that it's not going to buck our economy and our system here. And the war, for example, in Russia is on everybody's mind. Every country is looking at that war because of the instability in that market, in that region rather. So we have to keep eyes on all of these issues because we're all connected. We can't get away from each other. But something like in Haiti, for example, the gangs are, I believe, 90% control of the government in Haiti. That's an issue, but that's not a big issue. It's a small country. They're waterlocked. They don't offer much production. Very little clout they have globally. But on the other hand, Russia, the largest landmass in the world, is taking more land and destabilizing a whole region and killing thousands of people every day. That's something that we're going to pay attention to, because as they continue to do that, they're going to draw resources from other countries. They're going to perhaps finagle with things like fossil fuels or nuclear capabilities, precious metals, right? Rare earth, things like that, that they have a lot of control of. And energy and raw materials like that run the world. They're in our phones, they're in our products, they're in our cars, they run our cars, they heat our homes, right? So that has, right, we have to consider what happens if this happens, what happens. So that, I think, is why there's also a push to get that war over with, give Russia the land that they want or that they've taken over at this point, and settle it. Because every country needs and wants stability when it comes to global markets. And last, I would say, is consumer and business confidence. And the United States has no problem with that. Our confidence as consumers, all we do is consume. Every day, every single day, we are consuming, we are buying, we're subscribing, auto delivery, Amazon's bringing deodorant, you're going to the store to pick up this, you're buying that. Like all day we are consuming. Very rarely are we actually producing. So I don't think that'll ever be an issue. But in some, I am forecasting 0.25 points as a cut in the next meeting, which I believe is September 15th or whatever. And then I'm forecasting another 0.25. So I think a half a point will get shaved off this year. It's good. It's a step in the right direction. But I think we need rates in the 3 to 4% range for everything to be rocking and rolling. That'll be the lighter fluid. But for now, people are still in a holding pattern for the most part, and they're stuck being renters. They're stuck in a small single family. They can't, have more children. They can't afford it. They have to stay at a job they don't like, whatever. It's keeping a lot of people stuck. So that position of Federal Reserve Chairman is essentially controls the puppet strings for the whole country. In many cases, the world too. So you can see why the president is very anxious to get those costs down for Americans. So that's my thoughts. Thank you for listening. And if you're in that spot right now, hold on a little bit longer. I forecast good things in your near-term future. Once again, Greg Rice, Not in the Bucket, your property and your future properties managed.